another example of completing the square. The first thing I'm going to do is move the 7 over, so I get 2b squared minus 4b equals negative 7. The next thing I'm going to do is factor out a greatest common factor here, so I have 2, and then I have b squared minus 2b, leave a space, equals negative 7. So this is where we're going to add half of our b and square it. Not this b, but the b term. So half of negative 2 is negative 1, and negative 1 squared is positive 1. So I'm going to add 1 here. So do I add a 1 over here, or do I add something different? I actually have to add a positive 2. Because on this side I would have to distribute that out. So I imbalance this equation by actually a value of 2, not just 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So I have to put a 2 over here to keep the two equations balanced. The next thing I'm going to do is this thing is a perfect square. If you forget, that is just simply a trinomial, so you can just go ahead and factor it. Okay, so we're going to get 2 and then b minus 1 squared, because b minus 1 times b minus 1 gives you that trinomial up there. And up here I have negative 5. Now what I'm going to do is get rid of the 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and I get b minus 1 squared equals negative 5 halves. Now I need to, because I have a square all by itself on this side, now I can take the square root of both sides. So positive and negative. And then I'm just left on this side with b minus 1, because these cancel each other out, equals positive and negative square root of negative 5 over 2. And the last thing I need to do is add that 1 over. So b equals 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 halves. So for the most part, this is correct. This is your answer. You now have b by itself. But this is a little ugly. I've got two bad things going on. I've got a negative under the square root, so I need to take an I out. And 2 is in the denominator as a square root, so I need to get rid of that. So let's just clean this up a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop that I out. So 1 plus or minus I square root of 5 over 2. But the square root of 5, can't I write that as the square root of 5 over the square root of 2? Because they're both under the square root, so you can split that up. So now I have 1 plus or minus I square root of 5 over square root of 2. So I don't want to leave any square roots in the denominator, so I can multiply this by square root of 2 over square root of 2. And last but not least, I get 1 plus or minus I root 10 all over 2. 2 times 5 is 10. And then the other thing I can do is this 1 I can also turn into 2 over 2, right? Isn't that another way of writing 1? Plus or minus I root 10 over 2. And I can simplify that in the numerator to be 2 plus or minus I root 10 all over 2. And that is my final answer. So that is the answer to the first question from our test review today.